Georgia has these terrible laws that don't benefit anybody, just about controlling women. Somebody has died. So it's not like we didn't know this was going to happen. It's like we know it's going to happen and we don't care that it's going to happen.
Would you say that it even feels like sort of almost actively hiding it kind of a situation?
I would say it's a part of their plan. Let me pull up my links real quick. So I have those up. This actually happened 2 years ago.
Something happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, but it was only released recently.
Okay, interesting.
So I'm sure people have seen it. I have the Guardian article pulled up. A lady by the name of Amber Thurman died as a result of Georgia's abortion bans that were enacted in 2022. Right after
the laws were enacted in 2022, this abortion ban, and this lady Amber died as a result
of these bans. Yeah.
She died in 2022. Okay.
This was released. This basically was like sealed up. I'll touch on it on the article, but it was just sealed up completely until ProPublica poked.
Oh, interesting.
And they got answers. This is the only reason this has been released.
Okay.
So, there's more cases of these, but the state hasn't really disclosed it very much. They just brush it under the rug.
This is Georgia specific.
It's Georgia specifically. So I imagine it's a national issue. So Amber Thurman was a 28-year-old mother with a young son. She was becoming a nurse. And she died. So
How did she die?
She found out she was pregnant with twins.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think she was any more than the 5 or 6 weeks like you're supposed to be. Right? This is when the ban was already in place, obviously. So she couldn't have been. So I believe, I think she ended up driving. I can't say this for certain. Yeah. So she ended up driving up to North Carolina, where there's different rules for abortions, and she took the abortion pill, meaning that this was a very early pregnancy.
Right.
You don't abortion pill 8 months.
Yeah.
Not how that works.
Right.
So very, very early on.
Yeah.
And all goes well. As she can see, she drives back to Georgia. No big deal. Issue, all of the fetal tissue or whatever you want to call it didn't come out of her.
Okay. So she aborted the twins.
80% or whatever
mostly,
of all of the cells and
she
stuff.
still retained
some of it. She didn't know this.
Okay.
And obviously an infection started.
Okay, yes.
Obviously. So all the signs of infection. So she goes to the doctor, the ER. Bleeding, pain, and falling blood pressure. Right?
She's going septic.
Obviously, she's going septic. So a DNC, so a dilation and curettage. I was waiting for that. Could have been performed, and apparently it's pretty simple. Relatively simple.
Yes.
So the problem, Georgia's abortion ban allows for a DNC to be performed so long as it is a spontaneous or naturally occurring miscarriage.
Oh. But you cannot perform it if it is not a naturally occurring miscarriage.
So this being a not naturally occurring, they could not perform a DNC on her.
Holy cow.
So by the time she gets to the hospital,
that's insane.
She laid in the hospital bed for 20 hours.
Okay. Well, that's...
At this point, she's already septic.
Sick. Very sick.
At this point, she died of acute something sepsis. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
But so when she got to the hospital, it was already like, we have to do this now.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we can wait.
Yeah. It was an emergency.
Yeah. By 20 hours, she began to experience organ failure. Then they said they were willing to treat her.
Once it became organ failure.
Organ failure. Obviously, way too late.
Yes.
So she dies.
Wow. And so this was covered up back in 2022.
Covered up. So we're going to get into that. This is probably the nastier part. So the State Maternal Mortality Review Board said that her death was 100% preventable. Had she gone to the hospital and they done it there, she would have lived.
Yeah.
Or a really, really good chance of living.
For sure.
So the problem is the state did not tell her family that her death was preventable.
Okay.
They just said she died
Okay.
and then kind of left it. The only reason the family knows it was preventable in any fashion, or really anything at all about it, is because a ProPublica reporter told them.
Just recently or back then?
This came out, this article dropped the 19th,
Oh, wow.
so it couldn't have been that long ago.
2 days ago.
So, because Georgia has these terrible laws that don't benefit anybody, just about controlling women,
Wow.
somebody has died.
Yeah.
I guarantee there are more cases than this one.
Yeah, for
There
sure.
has to be.
For sure.
But it's the fact that Georgia, obviously they know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And then they're quiet when it does happen. So it's not like we didn't know this was going to happen. It's like we know it's going to happen and we don't care that it's going to happen.
Would you say that it even feels like sort of almost actively hiding it kind of a situation?
I would say it's a part of their plan. It's like, to them, the system's working how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, so somehow the state health department, which kind of might be looking into all of this, also ACA, that kind of manages hospitals and what's going on there. There's
The
all
state's
kinds of
keeping it quiet, and it's a felony to perform a DNC.
So the doctors would have been charged with a felony had they done it.
Mhm.
Had somebody found out about it.
Had somebody found out about it, true. So that is the state of half of this country.
Man, yeah, there's a lot of states that
A lot of states.
have an abortion ban, something similar.
Georgia's abortion ban isn't even a 6-week ban. It is, abortion is illegal in Georgia after the detection of embryonic cardiac cell activity. Which,
Once you test positive.
thank you. So for layman terms,
Yeah.
when you test positive.
When you test positive, you can't get an abortion other than if, I never did the test.
Yeah. So most women don't even know they're pregnant until like
Yeah.
after 6 weeks, well after.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like you miss one period and that is a thing that happens to women. That's not like an uncommon experience. It's
Absolutely.
the back-to-back missed ones
Right.
where it's like,
Or you're like, boy, I'm way late.
I'm way late and
I'm
man, I've
like
bing
2-3
feeling kind of
weeks,
weird.
yeah.
It's something's odd.
Yep.
It's worth checking.
Yep.
But for women who have a history of their periods are irregular, or maybe they've missed one before, nothing came of it, they don't instantly freak out about it.
Right.
And in that case, you're 8-9 weeks and you're like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, if you're past like a 6-week thing.
Yeah. So that's like the point. That's like the problem. So yeah.
I wonder if there's we don't have to look it up now, but we have Amendment 4 is on the ballot for us.
Our
here
Amendment 4 is
in
on the ballot.
Florida, which is protect a woman's reproductive rights, and so that would be the people making a decision through a vote. So Georgia may probably. I mean, I'm sure they're working on getting something like that on the ballot, if it's not already kind of like planned to be on the ballot. I feel like the stricter the measure in a state that's
Voted blue. So it's a conservative state, but it's not.
It's on the edge, right?
It's not like an Oklahoma or a West Virginia.
And usually these things go pretty heavily
across the nation. Abortion rights have been reinforced.
Yes,
by
the people.
In red states, by the people.
Yeah. So that's hopefully that kind of thing will happen in Georgia, and hopefully it'll happen here in Florida too.
It's on our ballot.
Yeah.
I really hope that it is a thing.
I wonder how that's polling. I'm gonna have to look that up too.
I just peeked. One thing said it's like 50-50.
It's gonna be close.
It'll be tight.
I think in order for a measure like that to pass, it has to pass 60% of the population.
Yeah.
It has to vote for it. So
A referendum, yeah.
it would have to be pretty strongly in favor. So we'll see.
I really hope, but it's pretty despicable, I think.
Yeah, it's
because my thoughts on abortion is pretty simple. That anybody who's not I can't say anybody, but anybody who means anything online, really, anybody who speaks about this or makes the rules, it's not about life. It's about controlling women.
Sure.
Because if it was about life, then you would make it something about, let's say, giving birth was not $15,000.
Sure. Maybe school lunches.
School lunches are free. School's free. Childcare is free. Better access to childcare.
Yeah. Right.
Better access to children's medicine and psychological help and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it's not about that.
Yep. It feels like an issue. I don't know. It sort of feels like a manufactured issue. But it's so tied to religion.
So I'm going to make the argument that anybody who uses the religion argument, not all the time, but I'm going to say almost every time, doesn't think of it as a moral issue. There are some people who definitely do, but all of these politicians who are voting for this stuff, it isn't a moral issue. If they had a kid who got pregnant, they're getting an abortion.
Yeah.
They would 100%.
Yeah, of course.
All of them have probably.
Yeah.
So it's not a moral issue for them.
Yep.
It's a control. They just are sexist.
Yeah.
I don't know how else you chalk it up. Because if it was pro-life caring for children, then you would have, once the child's here, you'd continue to care for a child.
Women of childbearing age sort of overwhelmingly support the idea of abortion rights.
Yeah.
Reproductive rights.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's who we should be listening to, is the people that it affects the most. You've got, boomers that cannot have kids anymore. Why do they have a say?
Yeah.
In a family's decision to...
Boomers who don't realize that they were trapped in a terrible marriage that they hated, and they think that's normal. And it's like, no, we've progressed in the world. You don't have to be unhappy your entire life.
Yeah, I know.
I think... I don't like talking about whether it should be legal or illegal. I think it's pretty simple. I think most people don't like it.
Of course not.
Like, it's not a good feeling.
It's never.
But it's one of those things of you can't take it away.
Yes.
You can't remove that.
And I'm all for
from
doing
people.
Everything we can to encourage a woman to keep it if she can.
I would love for the opportunity to
adoption.
I would like to build a society where we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you don't make a law banning it.
Yeah, right.
I just think it's one of those things where there's no clean way to regulate it.
Yeah.
Or make a law about it.
Yep.
Maybe if you want to do something like once you hit the third trimester, like you've had some time. If you want to make that argument, like this is much more of a baby now in the womb, then I'll hear that.
I'll hear that. I mean,
you're getting like 6 months in.
No, that's way too long.
Well,
like I feel like a cutoff that would be some sort of a natural cutoff, which is kind of what we landed on with different laws. Is what's the earliest that a baby has been born and lived, and kind of like use that as a rough guide. That's like
tricky issue with that is we probably will continue to get better with that, and that date will continually get pushed back.
But probably not much. I don't know if you
don't think much.
Well,
I'm asking you, the doctor. You can tell me I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong.
So I help.
I would like to be wrong.
Okay, so I help to deliver a baby in med school. I'll tell you a story. It'll help you to kind of to visualize it. I help to deliver a baby in med school. I mean, obviously a bunch of them, but there's one that kind of stands out in my mind. I remember his name. His name was Charlie. Anyway, so he was 20. I think he was 24 weeks or 23 weeks.
Yeah,
gestation, something like that. So like super duper preemie, but we had to get this baby out for various reasons. With the baby and the mother. So a C-section, obviously. I was in the room. We delivered the baby, and I could hold the entire baby in the palm of my hand like this. Just out. Just like right.
Yeah, that's
the whole baby. I think the baby weighed 1 pound and some ounces.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to imagine. Like it was very hard to imagine that baby could possibly live.
Yeah.
So, but the baby did live. But it's amazing that something so small was developed enough to be able to live. So okay, so that's like immediately in my mind, I'm like, okay, we can't do abortions after this date.
I'm
So if you roll the clock back though, just a few more weeks, and all of a sudden you've got something that's this big, and you roll it back a few more weeks, and you got something that's a collection of cells. And so I think that's why we kind of like landed on like a 16 week or 14 week or 18 week or whatever. But there's some date, there's some number I feel like that might.
Yeah, I think. My thought like this, like if you were getting into the later periods of your pregnancy, it's not like I haven't thought about it. I haven't done any soul searching or whatever you need to do about it to decide.
Yeah.
So you've been with us for a while.
Yeah. Like if you're 6 months in.
Yeah.
You've been living with it for 5 months.
You've spent some time with this.
Oh yes.
You can't just, you know what I mean? You've gotten to a point where we've made a decision.
No. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's a multiple part solution, but a ban is not the solution.
No, a ban is not the solution.
A ban is not the solution.
And I think, by the way, if there was ever any ban enacted in any state, then they should also enact at the same time state-funded entirely your entire pregnancy.
Yeah, you
delivery,
get paid time off work,
all the way up until
paid
you give the baby
maternity
up for
leave,
adoption. Paid leave, the whole thing.
You know,
like if we're gonna force you to have this
post-birth care is free.
Yes,
the birth is free.
The whole thing.
All of
it should go with every abortion ban.
Okay, if you want to make it,
if you care about people and babies and lives, if you care about that,
you pay for the whole thing.
Then you have to do that too. If you're going to force women, if you're going to force a 13-year-old or an 18-year-old in college, you're going to force them
her to term. Okay, fine.
To term,
but you're paying.
But they have no insurance.
Every dollar of it, every penny.
So the state will pay for every penny of it plus time off.
If a Republican looked me in the eye and said that's their opinion, I don't like it. I still don't like a ban.
I like it better than a ban only.
It's much better than a ban only, and at least there's an air of consistency.
At least the arguments vibe, right?
And I'm like, all right, if you're going to do
maybe
it,
you do care about people.
I rapidly disagree with your fact that you're banning it. But if you're going to pay every single penny from when she gets tested to when that baby's adopted,
mm-hmm.
But you're gonna have to do her paid time off, maternity leave. That's included.
Absolutely.
She can't just lose income. You have to pay her income.
Absolutely.
If every penny's accounted for and you pay for it,
hey,
I mean,
at least it would be an argument that it's like
I wouldn't
people.
Instantly go, you're a demon.
Right.
I would go,
you've at least attempted to be
I think you're wrong
and empathetic.
I think you're wrong, but
yeah, there's no empathy in the idea of a ban, but there is an idea of empathy.
At least you're making an attempt to
plus the funding.
I recognize that we are caring about life and you're proving the caring for life, and I can give you credit for that.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I saw this.
I think that's a hot take though.
Tabitha was very upset about this.
Oh, I bet. I think
she told me about it and I read about it. She was very upset, as someone who's had a kid before.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is
a hot take.
Yeah, but this is what they want.
I think they're going to get trounced on ballots.
I really
am
praying.
I'm praying they get
trounced. The Lord above.
Vote Kamala.
So vote Kamala. Vote blue down the ballot.
Register to vote and get a friend who wasn't registered to vote to register.
Get a friend
with
to
you.
vote, and if they don't want to come, you blindfold them. Sign this document. I swear it's just for your signature. Oops.
Mail it in.
Yep, you're voted.
By the way, we don't endorse
cheat vote. Send in 15 mail-in votes.
We don't endorse.
Wear
that.
different disguises. Vote for your dead neighbors. Whatever you got to do. I'm kidding.
United.
Don't break the law.